All right, hump day. Welcome to Frontline, 6 o'clock here on the East Coast. We'll be some breaking news tonight. The 11th Circuit Court of Appeals has just handed down a ruling rejecting ICE's mass detention policy of illegal immigrants. Now, the 2-to-1 ruling actually contradicts a separate appellate court ruling earlier this year supporting mass detention. This is going to have to head to the Supreme Court for them to decide what's what. Plus, Vice President J.D. Vance's anti-fraud efforts are actually going gangbusters right now. His task force just found 186,000 dead people collecting SNAP benefits. Oh, the things that they say don't happen, right? And a day after the Justice Department sued the city of Denver over its assault weapon ban, the department today now suing the entire state of Colorado over their ban of standard capacity magazines. Harmeet Dillon, basically the only one at the Justice Department doing anything, called the ban virtue signaling at the expense of tax-paying Americans' constitutional right to keep and bear arms. But first, look, I love kicking rhinos to the curb. Apparently, so do a lot of other people. Let's do this. When I tell you that most everyday people like you and me are sick and tired of do-nothing politicians, specifically Republicans, just sitting on their butt doing absolutely nothing while Democrats just do whatever they want. I give you the results of the Indiana State Senate Republican primary election last night. Blowout of do-nothing, anti-Trump agenda rhino incumbents. Look, if you watch this show, look, you know I have not been shy about encouraging Republicans to redistrict and play the same game as Democrats. Texas got the memo. Louisiana, Florida, North Carolina, Ohio, Missouri, Alabama, Tennessee, Utah, and a couple others all got how important this was. They grew a spine and said, hey, we're just going to undo all the Democrats' crazy gerrymandering they've been doing for years. But Indiana, Republican supermajority Indiana, the state house passed a redistricting map to get rid of 2 Democrat congressional seats, but the state Senate, enough Republicans joined Democrats to reject it. And the average person that state was like, whoa, 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 hold up. Why are you not willing to run Democrats over? We sent you there for that. Trump gets involved, calls out do-nothing Republicans in the state Senate, supported some primaries, and the results, drum roll please, 5 out of 6 incumbents that voted to not redistrict got wrecked by Trump-backed candidates in their primaries.
President Trump making it clear in Indiana it is still his Republican Party. The president vowed revenge against 7 Republican state senators who defied his demands last year to redraw Indiana's congressional maps. Tuesday, he got that revenge.
Yes, that is how you debate. This is what you do. This is what everybody in every state needs to do. Let this be a message to all the rhinos in the U.S. Senate, too, by the way. Get your tail to work for us. Do not give Democrats an inch. We sent you to whatever office. We put the signs in our lawn and the money in your account and the stickers on our car, and we sent you there. And now we want you, Republicans, to fight for our values. Not business as usual, not glad handing at some fancy fundraisers to play nice with the same party covering up fraud, chopping off kids' body parts, and taxing us to death. We the people, the same people who elected Donald Trump, want you people, you Republicans, to start steamrolling Democrats. I don't care about Robert's Rules of Order because we all understand that that is exactly what Democrats are going to do if they take any power in any government at any level. And last night showed that if you rhinos don't do that, we will primary your behind and throw you out of office. Look, check this out. This wasn't even close in Indiana. Check out some of these numbers. All these state senators who got ousted, they were the ones who voted no on redistricting. Now, this is in the state. This is the state Senate, where the state Senate has a 40-10 Republican-Democrat makeup that's been widening every year since 1992. Indiana is definitely red. I don't know what these people were thinking. Trump won the state by almost 20 points in the last election. Did these state senators think that, like, nothing was going to happen, that was somehow irrelevant? I mean, this is my problem with politicians. Look, a lot of them get there, and they forget why people sent them there. But this should be a wake-up call for every Republican not backing up my guy. District 1, Trevor DeVries smoked the incumbent, Dan Dernluck. 75 to 23. That's a 52-point spread. That's not even close. District 11, this is Pete Buttigieg's old stomping ground in South Bend, Indiana, where he couldn't fix a pothole. Brian Schmutzler crushed the incumbent Linda Rogers, 59 to 41, 18-point spread. And what's funny is this woman gave an interview after she voted no on redistricting and said, oh, that's not what my constituents wanted.
The reason is that the majority of the constituents in my district that reach out to me really were against redistricting.
Oh, they were? Apparently, you have no idea what your constituents actually want, so beat it, lady. District 19, Blake Fleischer trounced incumbent Travis Holdman, who was in leadership and had held his seat since 2008, okay? Gone. 61 to 38, not even close. Also, after that guy voted no on redistricting, he also gave an interview saying that, well, 90% of the constituency didn't want it.
Well, I voted against redistricting because I had over 3,000 phone calls that came into my Senate office from constituents, and 90% of those were against redistricting.
Things that didn't happen for 500. He clearly has no idea what his constituents want, or he was lying because he just got tossed by a 23-point spread from a leadership position. District 21, Tracy Powell defeated incumbent James Buck by almost double the votes. Look at these, 8,500 to 4,600. This is the incumbent. Got smoke checked. District 41, Michelle Davis defeated incumbent Greg Walker, 59 to 41. I mean, the common denominator here is that we're done with representatives not listening to us. Indiana is not some like super far right state either. It's a center right state that votes very Republican because its values, which makes it deep red. The average person, especially in Indiana, is watching their neighbors to the north. You got Illinois, you got Minnesota, where Democrats are defending fraud, refusing to investigate, where like billions of dollars from tax-paying citizens have gone. No, they're not doing it. And they're sitting there in Indiana, we're like, we are not going to have that. I want less people from that party, the Democrat Party, representing my country. And if we have to redistrict them out of D.C., I am here for it. These are like Look, my mom's from Indiana, Gary, Indiana. These people over there, good, God-fearing, moderately center-right, American-grown people that have just had enough. This is not just Indiana, too. In Ohio, remember those Haitian migrants who are like wreaking havoc on their communities with unaccountable subsidies just flying out the window? We're finding out had a ton of fraud. Well, Vivek Ramaswamy ran. His number one issue in his primary was, I'm going to take my tech background, I'm going to expose, and I'm going to eliminate fraud. And Vivek won every single county in Ohio in his gubernatorial primary last night. His challenger didn't win a single county. He won the primary by 85%. California, they have a jungle primary, so everyone's all in like one group, but you have two Republicans in the top 3 spots right now in California. And it's a non-zero chance, depending on how this goes. You could actually have 2 Republicans win and be in the runoff against each other to run that state because of fraud and this stuff.
Congresswoman Porter, your thoughts on the idea of funding health care for undocumented immigrants statewide?
Yes.
Yes, and
that's, by the way, what I think Californians deserve.
Oh, good luck with that. But I also thought that wasn't happening. So I don't know. I can't keep up with them. People are so tired of how far left the party has gone. They're tired of Republicans who don't do anything. You have Trump ally Ken Paxton in Texas leading incumbent rhino John Cornyn again because people are so annoyed about their reps not backing up Trump for who they voted for. This is what the left doesn't understand. It's certainly not what like half the elected Republicans that I would call rhinos understand. Look, if you were a Trump person from day one, as I was, OG. I mean, that's a picture of me in 2015 on this network. Trump sticker, I think that was on an iPhone 4 or whatever it was. We were ridiculed. We were harassed. I lost friends. I was excommunicated from some family events. Some of us lost jobs over it. But we won, and Trump is the president. And after all that fight, we want all the other Republicans, maybe people who back Jeb Bush or whatever, we want you to back our guy now. We voted for Trump because we wanted Trump to be our president. And then we voted for everyone else on the ballot simply because they were on the same ticket as Trump. Remember that. We didn't vote specifically for those people. Looking at you, Senator Majority Leader John Thune, right now, by the way, I want you to blow the filibuster, pass the SAVE Act, fund ICE, national reciprocity, slash fraud, deport Ilhan Omar while you're at it, and codify Trump's agenda. You do that, and the next 5 months, you guys can kick back at the Capitol and do what you do best, which is enjoy margaritas, because a Republican majority will be a foregone conclusion. Indiana State Senate-elect for District 11, who smoked out a rhino, Dr. Brian Schmutzler. All right, how's it feel to be a winner, dude?
Feels great, man. I love your energy, but it feels great. It feels great. Last night was amazing. We had a pretty good idea what was going to happen as the night started. It was awesome. Had a great party and enjoyed the time, and just figuring everything out here this morning and today.
Yeah, I mean, like, have you talked to Linda since she got destroyed in that election? Been like, what were you thinking?
Yeah, she did reach out very briefly. We had a very brief conversation. She offered to help me going forward. To be fair, nice. I do respect her service, but I think it was time for a new person here in Senate District 11 in Indiana.
But that's like, we played 2 clips of her and another guy who was in a leadership position be like, no, 90% of the people didn't want that. It's like, well, clearly they did. In your case, almost 90%. Did.
Yeah, 90% of the people on the doors that I knocked, all 5,000 doors I knocked, they wanted the redistricting. Everybody almost said, yeah, the redistricting was a mistake to not do that. So I don't know who those people were. Were they from California? Were they Democrats? I don't know. But certainly everybody I talked to wanted us to do the redistricting.
It's just shocking how people, even in like local elections like that, how they can just lose track of this stuff. You expect it in D.C., but not in stuff. Trump posted your win on True Social. What's your message to not only the losers from last night, but also Republicans nationwide who, are not really exactly in Trump's corner all the time?
Yeah, the Republican Party is still Trump's party. So, that's the message. We got, I think, 6 or 7 last night. That's going to fundamentally change the state Senate in Indiana, and I've been calling for that all day on interviews. Is we need new leadership in the state of Indiana in the state Senate, and that's going to happen with the set of new senators coming in.
Yeah, well, one of the leadership people lost their seat, so it's got to happen. All right, Brian, good job, great luck. Give my thanks to everybody else for fighting out there.
Yeah, absolutely, and thank you for having me on.
Of course. All right, let's bring in Indiana Lieutenant Governor Micah Beckwith. All right, this is just a resounding message to people who are, status quo people. What do you say to them?
I think you're spot on. This is a huge shot across the bow for the Republican Party nationally to say, hey, listen, President Trump is right. He's been right about everything since he got into politics back in 2015. He's been telling us we need to fight. We need to find our backbone. If we don't do this, the Marxist radical left nut jobs will take over our country. He's absolutely right. What you saw in Indiana last night with guys like Brian, guys like Blake or Trevor, was a resounding, hey, Indiana is going to hold the line. And if Indiana can't hold the line, then I think our nation is totally gone. But Indiana's holding the line. You're going to see new leadership, bold leadership in the Senate. And man, I'm happy as the president of the Senate. I'm happy that we're going to start moving in the right direction, and we're going to just give it right back to the Democrats, because they would do the same thing to us if they had the supermajority. They would slam every progressive leftist idea down our throats, and it's time we start fighting fire with fire. Yeah, no, 100%. Now you obviously have one that's like 50-50 right now sitting on it. But this is the thing. Obviously, the governor was very supportive of the redistricting. You were. When you talk to some of these state senators before this election, you're like, guys, you're going to lose your seat. Like, what are you doing? What did they say to you? Well, they said 2 things. They said Trump is bluffing, which I said,
when does he do that ever?
Exactly. I don't know what they're thinking, but they said, oh, he's bluffing. He's going to forget about Indiana and they'll go away. I was like, that's not Donald Trump, guys. You should know this by now. The second thing was they said, hey, listen, 90% of my constituents are saying they're against it. And here's who was against it, just so you know. It was the Democrats. It was outside influences. When I was standing at the dais watching this vote go down in December as the president of the Senate, I was looking out in the hallway. You had lobbyists and activists from the ACLU, from Moms Demand Action, from the League of Women Voters. You had the Planned Parenthood, and they were all screaming and cheering for our Republican senators when we shot down redistricting. And I walked through the Senate and I told senators, I said, when they're on your side, you're on the wrong side. And I said, so you're listening to all the wrong voices. So yes, they were being called, and yes, people were saying, don't redistrict, but it was all the wrong people. It was the far left radical Marxists that were telling them not to do it. So they listened to the wrong people, and now they had to pay the price.
Yeah, and the irony is that you're going to get the redistricting, and now those people are no longer problems. So it's actually shocking. But you have like Democrats like Obama. Republicans haven't lived up to expectations that Obama, the great Barack Obama, had for them. Watch this.
I'm worried about the Republican Party, not just the Democratic Party. I'd love a Republican Party that was conservative in some ways, that didn't agree with me on a whole bunch of stuff, but believed in rule of law and judicial independence, wasn't constantly tapping into.
I'll say this, please remember, go back. You can go all the way back to the days of Reagan, and the Democrats were screaming about how bad the Republicans are. I mean, Nancy Pelosi hated George W. Bush. They always scream about Republicans are a threat to democracy. Republicans are a threat to our future. So this is ridiculous for Obama to say we need to have the old Republican Party back. No, we need to have a Republican Party that actually fights for American values, and that's what President Trump has given us.
Yeah, no, it's shocking that they haven't received the message in 10 years, but here we are again. Lieutenant Governor Beckwith, we appreciate it, sir.
Hey, thank you.
All right. Coming up, New York City just announced a brand new public school idea, and when you hear what they're focused on instead of basics, you're going to understand exactly why parents are losing their mind. But first, D.C. politicians swore crime was under control, but now there's a scandal brewing inside the police department that could blow the whole narrative apart. Those details next.
A Social Security update. Millions collect Social Security, but 70% of Americans don't get their full benefits. Now, a new report shows how to boost your Social Security by as much as $188,000. Author Matthew Allen reveals 5 key strategies in a new report. Newsmax calls it the best guide for retirees. Everyone needs this free Social Security report. Act today to get your full benefits.
The grind catches up with everyone, even me. That's why I trust Cunol Ultra High Absorption Turmeric to support my joint health. It's the #1 doctor-recommended form of turmeric that helps you keep doing the things you love at every age. Cunol, the brand I trust.
Mom jeans. She passed them down to you. But who passed them to her? Let Ancestry help you piece together your story with a family history membership and detailed DNA results. Save now at Ancestry.
What if you're sick at home or traveling and can't get medical help or prescriptions? Doctors say a medical emergency kit is the answer. Joining me is Dr. Drew.
Thank you. And yes, these kits put you in charge of your health. They come with physician-prescribed medication to treat multiple common and some serious issues as well.
What are some examples?
Sure. Generic Z-Pak, amoxicillin, other essential antibiotics and antivirals that treat flu, pneumonia, strep, ear infections, sinus infections, urinary tract infections, and more.
So it is like urgent care and a pharmacy at home?
Exactly. No waiting, no pharmacy, no copays. You feel better faster and avoid serious complications.
How do you know what medicines to take?
You just match your symptoms to the doctor-written guide or schedule a quick telehealth call.
Sound advice. Order online in minutes at the website below and save $45. Thank you, doctor.
Visit urgentcarekit.com/news, promo code news.
Apparently in Washington, D.C., crime wasn't dropping at all. It was just getting reclassified and not reported. So now 13 D.C. police officials, all captains or above, by the way, are on their way towards termination after investigators uncovered allegations at this point, that crime data was being manipulated to make the city look safer than it actually was. We knew this might be coming, but now we got the receipts. In a statement in response to the department's action, the D.C. Police Union cited findings from National Incident-Based Reporting System data that showed nearly a 2% increase in violent crime in D.C. in 2024 compared to what the city was reporting. That was a 28% decrease. This is what happens when politicians care more about protecting the narrative than protecting the people. Host of John Bachman Now, John Bachman himself, also co-host of American Agenda, Bob Brooks. All right, John, I mean, I love cooking the books to make myself look better.
Yeah, why not? I mean, there's only people's lives, health, and safety at stake here.
Yeah, what's the big deal?
Yeah, that is the horrific part of this, is they were lying to their people they were supposed to be protecting about the crime taking place. They were gaslighting the very people they have sworn to protect. It's disgusting, and I don't know. Jail time, I think, is the only appropriate thing for these people.
Most of these people are going to keep their pension, Bob.
It's sick. John's point. They'd rather go with the narrative and their woke, soft on crime than protect the public, the American public here. And I got to point out, I'm never going to understand why they think this way. In this year alone, homicides down 42%, sex abuse crimes down 30% in D.C., dangerous weapon assaults down 32%. Everything's down. Tough on crime, it works.
Yeah, because Trump flooded the zone.
Yes,
right, exactly. Washington, D.C. today is a completely different place than it was a year and a half ago.
Oh, yeah.
It's safe. You feel like you can bring your family back there. I don't see some guy urinating in the flower bed outside the hotel, which I literally saw happen one time before Donald Trump came into office. It is our nation's capital, and if it can't be safe, where can we be safe in this country?
We now know what the potential is for every city around the country. That if you get tough on crime and send in law enforcement, you can clean it up, but they don't want to because they want to look right to the American people.
Exactly. So they'll cook the books instead. All right. Chairman James Comer spoke on this today. Roll it.
The Metro Police Department would cite these crime statistics and try to say crime was down. I don't think anybody was buying that. As a result of our investigation that the Democrats criticized every step of the way, some of you may have written that this was a partisan racial investigation or whatever. At the end of the day, the accountability is that they were lying and 13 police officers have been removed.
Every time Democrats like this is partisan investigation, and then they're right.
They build statues for crack smoking mayors in Washington D.C. and I mean it's a long-standing thing. This changes the trajectory of what's happened in this city with the law enforcement there now. And God bless Jim Comer, but he can't investigate everything and everyone. And this is something for the local prosecutors, and they won't because Washington, D.C. is so woke, but they need to prosecute these people.
Mind you, they'll build statues for people like that, but then want to tear down statues of the people that built this country and designed it to not have this exact thing going on, which is total chaos.
Which Trump said that they were going to start doing, and then they did. And they called him crazy when he said that. Well, speaking of locally, chaos here in New York City last night. So they have all these little Hamasites, these supporters, battling police outside of a Manhattan synagogue. And of course it turned violent, leaving an NYPD officer injured. Here's an idea. If you hate America, there's the door.
Right. Bye-bye.
Yeah.
Bye-bye. And also today, it was reported that Zohar Mamdani took down the Israeli-New York City relationship page from the city's website. I mean, he is ginning this stuff up. He is the force behind a lot of it, if not directly. His actions and his rhetoric lead to this stuff. And if it continues to happen, you think about the other thing that happened this past weekend, just 8 people arrested for blocking the exit to the hospital and entrances to the hospital.
But this is the same guy from the party that screams, separation of church and state, which is in no statute anywhere, yet he's rolling out prayer rugs and eating rice with his hands out of bowls, embracing Islam right in our faces.
Turn it into what they came out of. Turn our country into complete, chaos. Anarchy.
Uganda.
All those people, those are paid protesters, anarchists, down with Western culture.
Yeah.
They're funded by leftist groups, and there's no accountability ever at the end of the day. Like, are those people pushing? I bet you if I did that, I'd get arrested. If I showed up down there and I did that, they'd be like, "Oh, that's Bob Brooks. You're getting arrested."
Conservative white dude in New York,
and
man.
even if they do get arrested, they won't be charged. They get let free, and that's your judicial system here.
It's true. That's where we're at.
That's why Ilhan Omar just getting away with not turning over the phone records. To whatever.
And she was good buddies with the guy defrauding everyone.
$250 million in fraud. She's like, nah, I won't comply with it.
I mean, if $30 million, if I had $30 million and it just magically disappeared, I would be a little more upset than she is. Maybe that's why she's yelling at reporters at the elevator bank and dropping F-bombs for asking simple questions about all these accusations.
They wanted her to have accountability for this fraud scheme, $250 million. She didn't show up.
Exactly.
She didn't show up.
And Columbus, Ohio is next, by the way. Second largest Somali population in the country. A massive amount of fraud taking place there. You talked about J.D. Vance, his home state. You don't think he's going to take a personal interest in this one?
Yeah,
this is Americans' money.
Yeah, exactly. Well, work hard because millions on welfare.
If they depend on
John,
us, yes.
Bob, we appreciate it.
Thank you, Carl.
All right, coming up, enough is enough. The Trump administration wants names when it comes to the 2020 election in Georgia. Is accountability around the corner? Christina Bobb, next.
You know, everybody's reporting the same stories, the same spin. You turn the channel, it's always the same. But not us. We're different. We report the real news. No spin, just the facts. Turn to us, and you won't turn back.
Tune in to Rob Schmidt tonight on Newsmax.
Rob trusts Prevagen for his brain, and this is his story.
I'm Rob. I run a sanctuary for tigers in Southern California. I've been working with tigers for over 30 years. I found that I was taking various supplements for my physical health. I wanted to take something for my brain as well. After taking Prevagen, I felt more confident. I felt more in the moment. I stopped taking Prevagen for a while, and I noticed a difference. I got right back on it. Prevagen really works.
Prevagen has been the #1 selling brain supplement nationwide for over 10 years.
Sensitive mouth and gums? Ever heard of Closest mouthwash? Your dentist and hygienist have. They know Closest is ultra gentle for sensitive mouths with non-burning mouthwashes that freshen breath, improve gum health, and strengthen teeth. Closest, the gentle mouthwash for sensitive mouths.
Spring. It's time to run it. Run it until the grass becomes a lawn, until the hedges duck and cover. Then run it again.
Did you hear about SHIELD, that test for colon cancer? No, what? It's just a blood test. No. Exactly.
SHIELD is for people 45 plus at average risk, not high risk for colon cancer. Ask your doctor about FDA-approved SHIELD.
Guess what? Experian Boost is even better because now my monthly insurance payments, my streaming payments, my rent payments, even my phone payments can raise my credit scores instantly, free.
More ways to build credit. Download the Experian app.
My heart has experienced life-changing wins, losses, and countless miles. To keep living at my speed, I trust Cunol CoQ10. CoQ10 is the #1 cardiologist-recommended supplement for heart health. Cunol, the brand I trust.
What if you could have shades like these for a fraction of big brand prices? With Shady Rays, you can. We're an independent company, so we do things differently. We offer high-quality polarized shades for a reasonable price. And we personally replace shades that get lost or broken. So far, we've racked up over 300,000 five-star reviews. I founded Shady Rays so that we can have sunglasses that stand up to whatever life throws at us. Order now and get 20% off site-wide at shadyrays.com.
Americans have lost billions of dollars in their retirement accounts during the dot-com bubble of 2000.
And inflation is only getting worse.
Patriot Gold Group just introduced our America 250 Inflation Protection No Fee for Life IRA.
I'm sure glad Eileen and I rolled over our IRAs into gold in 2019.
On Wall Street, there's a saying, sell in May and go away.
My saying is, call the Patriot Gold Group today.
Give Patriot Gold Group a call at 1-800-778-4156.
Patriot Gold Group is Consumer Affairs' top-rated gold and silver dealer nationwide. The only firm nationwide where you, the client, work directly with an owner. Home of the No Fee for Life IRA. Patriot Gold Group is patriots protecting patriots.
Call now, 1-800-778-4156.
I hope accountability is coming. The Justice Department now wants the names of every person who worked in the 2020 election, Fulton County, Georgia election. This demand coming months after the FBI raided and seized the ballots at Fulton County warehouse. Fulton County's Board of Election or Board of Registrar and Elections filing a motion to try to quash the grand jury subpoena of the information for the election workers, saying that the DOJ's purpose is to target, harass, punish the president's perceived political opponents, saying the request was grossly overbroad and untethered to... No, we want to know who made that call. Kind of like what you guys did to every Republican who even questioned the 2020 election. The heck with you guys. Christina Bobb, attorney at Judicial Watch and author of the fantastic new book, Defiant, who's also former RNC election integrity official, who is also currently still indicted in Arizona for a state that she never even went to.
Yeah, hey, Carl. I go back and forth between frustration with turn over the information, comply with the subpoena, participate in the criminal justice system, and I'm not going to lie, as a criminal defendant, a little bit of admiration for the Democrats going, hey, at least they're trying to protect their own. Republicans will leave you for dead. The good ones will raise money for you, and the others will just be like, well, it's not me. So, yeah, they need to turn over this information. It's essential in order to complete the investigation that the FBI started. But it's a bit of a, I'm kind of like, man, I wish somebody did that for me.
Yeah. Well, what I love is there's been no leaks in this. We don't know anything,
Yeah.
which is the way it should be.
Yeah.
I'm sure, for my own personal enjoyment, I'd love to know, but I'd love to have a conviction first and then know. But this is interesting. Today in Virginia, the FBI conducted a court-ordered raid at the offices of the Virginia State Senate President Pro Tem, Luis Lucas, as part of a corruption investigation. Now, the Bureau also raiding a cannabis dispensary connected to Lucas's office. Now, MS Now is reporting that the case that was launched under Biden, but still they're blaming Trump. Roll this.
This probe began before he was in office 3 years ago, as you just stated. Can this be lumped in with all those other politically charged cases where defendants are alleging DOJ bias?
Great and nuanced question, and the answer is yes.
How?
Yeah, good question. I mean, you have to stand on your head and close one eye to see it clearly. But I'm curious to see what comes out of this, because I'm nervous that it will somehow get turned into a political attack when it actually, as the anchor stated, wasn't even started by this administration. But they like to spin everything, and because this gerrymandering case was so front and center in politics, they might be able to do it depending on what it is. We don't have enough facts about it yet to make that assessment, but clearly, based on that clip, they're going to try.
Yeah, well, let them try. This is also hilarious because Lucas, on March 30th, 2023, when Donald Trump was indicted by the Manhattan grand jury, she posted on X, and the internet is forever, Donald Trump just learned no one is above the law. Well, how do you like them apples, lady?
Yeah, I mean, the thing about Democrats is they don't mind the hypocrisy. They're fine, a few months later, completely forgetting what they themselves claimed. They forgot that they were the ones that raided Mar-a-Lago. They were the ones that started to weaponize the Department of Justice. And now they're crying about it, saying, oh, well, they're using the Department of Justice to actually investigate criminal conduct, and they're upset about it. So, the schizophrenia never ends with the Democrat Party.
No, 100%. Here's something that you and I are both concerned about. And Rand Paul, look, I align with him 50% of the time. But he's calling out the DOJ to charge Anthony Fauci for literally lying under oath that they have him dead to rights on. And apparently the DOJ has no intention of doing this.
Yeah, this is incredibly frustrating for a couple of reasons. One, it's frustrating that they're not going to charge him. Two, I understand why they're not going to, and I actually think it's the right call, because they'll never get a conviction of him in Washington, D.C., and it'll be chalked up as a loss, and they'll be accused of weaponizing the Department of Justice. Republicans allowed lying to Congress to happen for so long that now they can't come back and be like, oh, well, now we're going to enforce the law about it. It's like Congress has made itself irrelevant on these investigations because you do nothing other than create social media clips, and you don't even prosecute the people who are lying to you. And now they kind of can't reel that back in. So I actually agree with DOJ on this one.
Real quick, what do you think about Howard Lutnick testifying the Epstein stuff? Because I know I'm not letting the Epstein stuff go.
No, I agree with you on this one. I think we need to see what actually happened. To me, the question, hopefully they'll release a transcript or something we'll get to see. I want to know how aggressive the committee was on actually trying to get information out of him, because he obviously has some, and he has switched his story a couple times.
Yeah.
And they need to drill down on that and figure out what was there. So was this a show? Was this just we're going to bring him in, we talked to him, we said it's fine, trust us, because the American people don't anymore.
Nope.
Or did you actually put pressure on him and actually get some information that we all know he has?
And look, if he is on the bad side of this, get him the hell out of there. So,
yep.
Christina Bobb, pleasure as always.
Thanks, Carl.
All right, coming up, satire becomes reality as New York City Mayor Zoran Mamdani announces a hip-hop school that teaches kids how to vandalize. Culture Clash next.
Doctors say having a medical emergency kit is like having an urgent care and pharmacy at home. Let me bring in Dr. McCullough to explain more.
Most people know when they're getting sick, but waiting to see a doctor is often too late.
So the key is having medicines before you need them.
Yes, and it includes doctor-prescribed medicines to treat common and serious issues like generic Z-Pak, amoxicillin, antibiotics, antivirals for flu, pneumonia, strep, ear and sinus infections, UTIs, and more.
So it is like having an urgent care at home.
Exactly. No waiting, no pharmacy, no copays. You feel better faster and avoid serious complications and hospitalizations.
How do you know what to take?
Just match your symptoms to the doctor-written guide or schedule a quick telehealth call.
Great advice. I understand ordering is fast online, and we've put the website and $45 off code on the screen. Thank you, doctor.
Visit urgentcarekit.com/news, promo code news.
I'm Guy Fieri, and I'm asking for your help in supporting the Tunnel to Towers Foundation as it continues to pay off the mortgages for fallen first responders and Gold Star families who have died in the line of duty and left behind young children. Not only that, but they are also building mortgage-free smart homes for catastrophically injured service members and have recently committed to eradicating homelessness amongst our veterans. We ask you to join us on our mission to do good. Go to T2T.org and donate today.
Ever wished you could brew your own beer, but figured it was too complicated, too messy, too much effort? Well, now you can. Meet Pinter, the home beer system everyone's talking about. Fresh beer, brewed and tapped by you. No fuss, no guesswork, just brew, chill, tap, done. You can craft 12 pints with every brew. Crisp lager, juicy and hoppy IPAs, smooth stouts, plus brew beers from top craft breweries you know and love. From the first tap to the last toast, hosting just got an upgrade. Nothing beats sharing your own fresh beer with friends. You don't need a garage brewery. You don't need a chemistry set. You just need a Pinter. Right now, get your Pinter free when you join our flexible beer plan. Choose your beers, brew fresh at home, and tap into the world's best beer experience. Free Pinter. Freshly brewed beer. Zero fuss. Go to pinter.com/spring to claim your offer today.
Nobody wants to put a new roof over their head. It's too expensive. And if they can extend the life of that roof and get 5 more years or 10 more years, it's a no-brainer.
What Roofmax does is it helps people in that they don't have to spend that $15,000, $20,000 on a new roof. They can spend pennies on the dollar.
The Roofmax product was a small percentage of cost of replacing a roof.
Get your roof treated now, but pay later, with no payments for a full year.
Hey, I'm Dr. Drupinski. I've been looking at the aging process for a long time. Fatty 15 actually slows it down. Fatty 15 comes out of Navy dolphin research. Without the C15, our cells become fragile and age and oxidize. This pushes that back. That's why I take Fatty 15.
Well, as I pointed out last night, the left has hijacked our educational system, and here's a perfect example. New York City Mayor Zoran Mamdani has announced 5 new public schools opening this fall. Here's the catch. One of them is the Bronx School of Hip Hop, where they use hip hop culture as a foundation for rigorous instruction. The students study MCing, DJing, graffiti, breaking knowledge of self while conducting academic content to real-world experience. This is a quote. I feel like this is a scene out of that movie, Don't Be a Menace to South Central While Drinking Juice in the Hood. Have you seen that one? Mamdani is just upset that his own hip-hop career didn't even take off. Roll it.
Go ahead, make a rap
for your naughty. It's a rap. Get the guap, spin the rack on your naughty. Spin the rack. Come through, give a dab to your naughty. If you're really feeling good, spin a track for your naughty.
Okay. Host of the podcast Scrolling with Hayley Caronia, and comedian Tom Cotter. Tom, I know you were at the front of the line to enroll in the graffiti school.
Sure, absolutely. You know, I was the valedictorian of my class, but I was homeschooled, so I don't have a lot to say about this. But hip-hop, high school, graffiti, we're going to teach that. Most graffiti is misspelled in the city, by the way, and horrible punctuation. Let's work on reading, writing, and arithmetic first, and then move on to vandalism as a course curriculum. It's just horrible. This guy is a moron. I call him Bomb Dummy for a reason.
But Hayley, I hear your hip-hop skills have been on the rise recently.
Oh, really?
Yes.
No, I actually don't think so. I do listen to hip hop, but I would not. Maybe if the Bronx School of Hip Hop was open when I was in school, maybe Mamdani wouldn't be mayor right now if that school was open. His hip hop career would have taken off. But I actually happen to know some New York City public school teachers, and they have told me horror stories about proficiency levels. These kids cannot read. These are general education students. They are not mentally challenged or disabled by any means. They are in third grade and they can't read. So what does New York do? Open hip hop graffiti school. Perfect.
Yeah, no, 100%. Like half the kids are functionally illiterate in New York City. I want to get to New Orleans, Tom. All right. Okay. Fun city, whatever. All right. However, people are warning that the city is actually sinking. Now, climate people say that the sea levels are rising, but that's actually not the case because climate change is not real. But the city was built on like soft silt, so it's literally sinking. And no matter how many levees you build, turns out Mother Nature is better at this stuff than mankind. And I guess we just hand it to the French for building a city below sea level and filling it with Democrats.
Yeah, good for them, I suppose. Yeah, Katrina was like a warning shot, apparently.
Yeah.
Eventually, yes, Mother Nature's going to win. You're not going to win this battle. I just wish this were happening in California. But I feel bad for the people. You need a big floaty to be in the Big Easy these days. It's very sad.
Yeah, people are very upset that they're going to have to leave because it'll be underwater. Here's, Hayley, why you should always stay armed. This is a suspected carjacker attempting to steal a car with the family still inside. So the suspect walks up to the car directly to the driver's side and attempts to get inside. Now the father, the one holding the gun, and him get into this fight, and then the father shot him 10 times, which is probably all the rounds he had in his magazine, which is the right number, I think.
Yeah. Did he have more in there? I would say absolutely make sure that this guy is dead. This is a dad doing his fatherly duty, protecting his family. God bless Texas. God bless the United States of America. God bless the Second Amendment. We should all be strapped at all times, especially because if you live in a Democrat area, this could happen to you. This is a reality for most people who live in these areas. I will say it's interesting. They were reporting that the person who did this was a Hispanic man, but they did not release his name and they did not release anything else about him. And I find that interesting. This might be a wait and see type moment where we find out later that he's an illegal alien, or we find out later that he's a career criminal that shouldn't have been on the streets anyway.
Or they'll record it as a white Hispanic so the crime stats can be cooked. Tom, you really actually can't make this stuff up. Kamala Harris, I don't know why she keeps talking, but she endorsed L.A. Mayor Karen Bass for re-election, writing that Mayor Karen Bass is the leader Los Angeles needs right now. She has done what so many said couldn't be done, which is burn down the entire city. The first ever 2-year decline in homelessness because it's burnt to the ground. Nobody wants to live there anymore.
Yeah, it's horrible. I mean, having Kamala endorse your candidacy is like having Jeffrey Dahmer endorse your restaurant. It's useless. It's pointless. It makes no sense. Karen Bass, by the way, my hypothesis, she originated the Karen thing that's going on right now. She's terrible. I feel bad for Californians. They feel they're in an abusive relationship with their elected officials, and they need to get away from that relationship completely. I'm afraid Katie Portageon is going to be the new governor, and who knows what's going to happen to that poor state next.
Yeah, and then they said, oh, well, she's gotten homeless levels down. And then, literally someone started a huge fire under a bridge that was homeless the next day. So it's like,
traffic isn't annoying enough in that area. Let's have some homeless people have bonfires in the middle of the day.
Yeah.
Crazy.
I mean, you got to stay warm in the state that never rains and is always sunny. Hayley, Tom, pleasure as always.
Thank you.
All right, coming up, China's foreign minister meeting with his Iranian counterpart saying, dude, you guys got to do a peace deal to open this strait because we're dying for lack of oil. It's almost like we said this was going to happen. Next.
Did you know about 1 in 3 people with plaque psoriasis may also develop psoriatic arthritis? With fewer symptoms from moderate to severe plaque psoriasis, where would you go? Imagine being a million miles away. With Tremfya, clearer skin is possible. And for adults with active psoriatic arthritis, Tremfya goes beyond the skin. Less joint pain, stiffness, and swelling is possible. And Tremfya even reduced fatigue. Serious allergic reactions and increased risk of infections and liver problems may occur. Before treatment, your doctor should check you for infections and TB. Tell your doctor if you have an infection, flu-like symptoms, or if you need a vaccine. Imagine being a million miles away. Ask your doctor about Tremfya.
Hi, I'm Sally with SellMyPolicy.com, the fast concierge service here to help you sell your life insurance policy for cash now. Our experienced team makes it fast and easy for you to get your offer. Use the money however you want. Cover healthcare costs, pay off debt, or take the trip of a lifetime. Use the funds for supplemental retirement income, investments, or home improvements, or give money to loved ones now rather than later. John sold his policy for $590,000 in cash, which he used to pay for health care. And Cheryl sold her policy for $90,000 in cash and used it to supplement her retirement income. If you are over 65 with a life insurance policy of $100,000 of coverage up to $50 million of coverage, then you may qualify. With Sell My Policy, some people choose to sell all or just part of their policy so they can access cash now while also keeping coverage in place for their loved ones.
It's easy to find out what your policy could be worth today. Call 800-961-7355. That's 800-961-7355. Or visit sellmypolicy.com.
Why lapse or surrender your policy? Sell it and you can stop making premium payments. You may receive substantially more cash than what your insurance carrier will offer. Plus, you'll get paid fast. Arthur sold his policy for $84,000 in cash, which he used to help reduce his debt. SellMyPolicy.com has a large network of funders. That means more money in your pocket. If you or a loved one has a policy, call now. Trusted by seniors, there's no obligation to sell. Find out what your policy is worth today.
It's fast and free with Sell My Policy.
Talk with a policy expert now to see how much cash you could receive. Call 800-961-7355. That's 800-961-7355. Or visit sellmypolicy.com. Sellmypolicy.com.
And just like that, China tells Iran to make a deal. According to the New York Times, quote, China's top diplomat met with Iran's foreign minister on Wednesday and called for greater efforts to open the Strait of Hormuz and for an end to the war after the Trump administration pressed Beijing to help end Tehran's chokehold over the waterway. We literally said this would happen. But here's what Trump is gambling on. He's banking on the fact that our blockade will bankrupt Iran and China before that, and that they will blink first. And they'll be starving of oil because China's not getting any. He's also banking on the fact that China, because they don't have oil, they're going to go to Iran and be like, dude, you guys need to work this out so we can get some boats through the Strait of Hormuz. It's a maximum pressure campaign. Folks, you are not wasting your time here every night. Iran has no friends in the region. They're bombing the UAE. All the people around them hate them. So even if they were to open the Strait of Hormuz tonight, they have no friends. So they have to listen to China. That's their only trading partner left in the world. Luke Ball, political strategist and CEO of Compass Strategies. Luke, it's like all these people who say that Trump doesn't know what he's doing are morons.
Yeah, and internationally, the president has realigned the United States as a global dominator. Under the Biden administration, when the rest of the world saw the Afghanistan withdrawal and saw how the United States was being perceived on the world stage, they sensed weakness. But now that this president is in charge, they see that they have strength. This is not something that China has just been able to take on the chin easily. They have really hurt from the president's maximum pressure campaign. China is the largest consumer of Iranian Korean oil and their greatest trading partner. And so when you see that pressure being applied directly on Iran by the United States, sometimes the game you're watching is not always the full game that's being played, because it puts pressure on Iran, it puts pressure on China, puts pressure on Russia, and the president uniquely knows and understands that when he goes and negotiates on the world stage, these different factors play into the great deals he's able to negotiate for the United States of America.
Yep. And the U.S. is now the world's biggest oil producer. We ship more than 250 million barrels of crude oil from our wells and storage tanks overseas buyers in the past 9 weeks. Like, there are a bunch of people out there that are like, our economy would have gone, belly up if we didn't have American oil.
Yeah, and we tapped into the strategic oil reserve so much under the Biden administration because he refused to drill. And I understand if future presidents have to tap into it for various reasons, but the reason the Biden administration had to dig into our national security reserves was because they refused to go and actually take advantage of the resources we had here in the United States. It was not just an economic issue. It was not just an energy issue. It's a national security issue. Sure. I remember when Trump is at the United Nations and warning the European nations, look, if Russia goes to war with somebody like Ukraine, which they did further down the line, then OPEC is going to be disrupted. You're relying on foreign oil, and it's a national security issue for you guys as much as it is for us.
Sure. Here's another thing, too. Speaking of independence from China, China's going to hate this one. The United States just found millions of tons, actually billions of $60 billion worth of lithium in northern Appalachia. It's enough for 500 billion with a B cell phones. Experts say it could power the next century of American technology, weakens China's grip on the entire world. But here's my thing. This is great, Luke. Fantastic. But how are you going to get it? People own that property. Are we talking about mass eminent domain? Are we talking about buyouts? How does this work from here? I worry about people's homes.
Yeah, it can't be mass eminent domain. Where I live in Virginia, we're having a conversation about all of these data centers and the government classifying their operations in some of these data centers as government opportunities or projects, which gives them a different classification and easier justification to take land by eminent domain. So I hope that that's not the case. I would rather see individuals be able to either sell their land, or there'll be different pockets where individuals can go in and take large swaths of that for national security purposes. It's not just there, Carl. It's also courts in North Carolina, which would also help alleviate the Taiwan situation overseas. Drilling for oil, drilling for natural resources, drilling for materials here in the United States is going to offset any pressure we see on the world stage, because we can get those resources here at home.
Yeah, but again, it's going to be one of those things we hope you can get it done, but also we hope people are, willing to do some things willingly, and it's not a fight. You don't have to take anyone's stuff, because that's
I agree.
The worst. All right, Luke Ball, we appreciate it as always.
Thanks, man.
All right, folks, big news from Newsmax. Okay, we hit a milestone over here, thanks to you guys, surpassing 25 million followers across all of our social media networks. That's a huge number. All right, Newsmax is big in TV and online, and of course now on social media. It's seeing really big gains. Facebook, Instagram, Truth Social. Again, this is because you guys, and we appreciate you following us and staying up to date, but if you're on social media and you're not following us, remember to do that. Follow me too, because I put up some pretty funny stuff on my social media. At least entertains me. But get the latest breaking news from Newsmax as well. Also read more about it on newsmaxinvest.com. Newsmax is on the New York Stock Exchange under the symbol NMAX as well. We're growing fast, so join Newsmax News Revolution today. Check out newsmaxinvest.com. See you there. Before we go, it's a damn shame. One rabid rodent goes wild on human trespassers or fishers. Well, we got that next.
The press won't report the real story.
The American people are actually very smart.
Ridiculous statements.
These guys are just plain weird.
Actual scandals.
Even the immunity decision. I mean, that decision was so misreported.
That's my job, and I aim to do it every night.
You can join the Tunnel to Towers mission to do good by donating your car to today's veterans. Your car donation will help Gold Star families, as well as injured veterans, our first responders, and our homeless veterans. Donating your car is quick and simple. Any car is accepted, and we will pick up the car for free. Simply call 844-BRAVES.
By donating your car, you can make a real difference. You can do good.
You're told to optimize, to hack. There's always a promise of a better you. But what if you were never meant to be fixed? Your biology knows how to thrive. It just needs a reminder. Armor Colostrum reawakens that brilliance. 400 nutrients, 4 seconds, 1 daily revival. This time, remember what you're made of.
It's 2 a.m., your fever spiked and you're miserable. Here's your options.
Urgent care, closed. ER, slammed. And you'll spend hundreds of thousands in both. Telehealth, yeah, but the pharmacies are closed.
That's the reason why we keep emergency medical kits at home.
It has doctor-prescribed medication like generic Z-Pak, amoxicillin, other antibiotics and antivirals. You can treat flu, pneumonia, strep, sinus infections, UTIs, and more.
Because if you're sick in at night, traveling or stranded, you don't want options.
You want what is inside this kit. No waiting, no pharmacy, and no copays.
Just schedule a quick telehealth call.
And that's how you feel better faster and avoid serious complications.
Every family should have this kit, and here's how to order yours.
Order online in minutes and use the promo code to save $45. Your doctor-prescribed kit ships fast to your door, packed with medications to treat over 30 conditions. So when something hits, you're ready. And a wellness company telehealth doctor is always there if you need guidance.
Another lost summer scrolling and swiping? Another lost spring break? Turns out, the fix is right here. Create new lifetime memories from the comfort of your backyard. No passports, no reservations. Latham's premium handcrafted pools are ultra durable for any climate. Can be installed in weeks, not months. And have hundreds of designs, sizes, and colors to choose from. For 70 years, Latham Pool has remained the gold standard in bringing backyard dreams to life. Our pools are easy to care for, won't stain or crack, and never require costly resurfacing. And with flexible financing options, your dream is within reach. And with our crystal finish, you can bring your favorite exotic watercolor and shimmer right to your own backyard. It's never too early to start planning for a lifetime of memories. Visit LathamPool.com now. Latham is a proud sponsor of USA Artistic Swimming.
Total Beats, America's best-selling Beats brand, is available at Walmart. Total Beats blood pressure support soft chews contain a key ingredient clinically shown to deliver 2 times better blood pressure support. Take control of your health. Head to Walmart and get Total Beats blood pressure support soft chews today.
If you still have bad breath by lunchtime, your mouthwash isn't working. Smart Mouth is the only mouthwash that prevents bad breath for 24 hours. This is the only mouthwash I recommend. Upgrade your mouthwash to Smart Mouth today and never have bad breath again.
Well, I think we all know what I'd do in this situation, but a wild beaver caught on video attacking a young boy fishing with his family at a lake in New Jersey. Now, according to local police, the child began to run away, but he tripped, and the animal bit the child. This is a beaver with these big, huge teeth. Bit him on the upper thigh, continued to attack him. Now, imagine that, being attacked by an angry beaver. The animal control then confirmed that the animal actually does in fact have rabies and was urging people, anybody who might have come in contact with any beaver in the region, to get treatment, get checked. I mean, this is like a really big deal. I didn't even know beavers got rabies, but here we are. I mean, what's hilarious is the angry beaver that got picked up and literally the kid chucked it and the kid came back, bit him again and chased him. Like, look, if it was me, I would just busted a cap in this thing. It would have been the end of it. But hey, in New Jersey, they don't let them carry a lot of guns, Rob.
That's a big beaver, too. I didn't realize beavers were gigantic like that. It looks like a small dog.
Dude, beavers are huge. And by the way, their pelts are amazingly soft, too.
There's a hell of a lot of good jokes wrapped up in that story.
Please don't.
That we're not going to tell here
thank you.
On this family channel. Good to see you, Carl.
All right, Rob.
We'll see you next time.
Information. Truth is freedom. Is Newsmax. It's real news for real people.